All right, so another easy indoor ride today on tap, and I talked a couple times about trying to be efficient with your time, and spinning your legs for just an hour easy ticks the box green, but there's other things that you can do. So today we're gonna focus on trying to do some aero drills, and so yeah, I've got an hour ride. We'll break it up. These are the Matt Botchell special here. He's the one that taught these to me, so I got to give credit to where credit is due here. But yeah, the first set of drills we'll do is a push-pull. So we push out on the pads, pull up on the bars. When we do that, you can see the shoulders go in a little bit. And we're also using the Darefore sensor here to kind of give us an additional layer of feedback. Yeah, we can sit here and have a mirror in front of us and see what we're doing, but we also, if we're using this and can measure the dorsal angle, what often happens when we're doing these drills is we focus so much here that we end up curling our back like a cat, and so our torso angle might change 3 or 4 degrees. So ideally we have a combination of everything, and we can get that feedback, look at it afterwards in the hub as well. So yeah, that's the first drill I'll do, is the push-pull drill. I'll do 3 by 4 minutes of that. And then the next one I'll do is the turtle drill. I'm sure you've all seen that one before or heard of it before, but it's really just where you try to really shrug your shoulders up and focus on, pretending that the tip of your aero helmet is touching your back. There's no gap there. It's going to be the fastest position possible. Obviously your head has a huge amount or a huge impact on the overall drag. So yeah, we'll suck in and just try to hold this position for, again, the 3 by 4 minutes. And again, monitor the torso angle throughout. It'll also give us a estimated CDA. Obviously, it can't tell what I'm doing with my head, but it'll give me the feedback just from the torso angle, which is what I want to compare to. I know it's going to be faster if my head's out of the wind, but I want to make sure I'm not scooping the hips or rocking back in the saddle and arching my back essentially. And so I'll be able to see all that information after the fact. That's on tap for today. All right, so we have one done. If you watched my last video, or the last couple that I did with this, I was in the like 0.182, 0.183 range for a normal position. And this one, it took me a while as I was trying to make the front end focus on that. Obviously the back got worse, and so it took me a while to dial that in. So one interval down. Now we'll try to focus on that for the next 2 intervals, try to get them back in that 0.12, 0.13 that I was doing when I was doing no aero drills while doing the aero drills. And then we'll do the same with the turtle drill to finish it off. And you do this as part of the series. So you'd start on an easy ride, and then you do these at Ironman race pace and try to hit the same numbers. Then you do it at 70.3 race pace, try to hit the same numbers. If you're one of the crazy people that do 40K TTs, you try to do it there and hold that. And then you can bring in heart rate as a component as well. Like, does holding the ideal position cause your heart rate to go up too much? And you can look at all this stuff, all the results of that after the fact in the hub. So for that one, I was back in the range where I should be, but for the first 2 minutes, I was really good. It was like 0.180, and then the last 2 minutes, the overall average ended up 0.182. So there was position decay in a 4-minute interval, which is why we do these drills. You have to train your body to be able to hold an ideal position. And you're not going to hold this position for an entire Ironman or an entire 70.3, but you're going to use it so when you're going the fastest, your position matters the most. So you want to try to use this when you're going downhill or with a tailwind or when you're attacking, or anytime we have high speeds, that's when we want the most ideal position. We'd sacrifice power for position at that point. So, all right, last one. First round done. Last one was the best one. Didn't start out as well, but we got her down there at the end. Yeah, so now we'll move on to round 2 with the turtle drill. All right, so the first one is done with the turtle drill. Definitely noticed I had to fight tucking my tail on that one and kind of arching my back like a cat. For me, that's a big deal because I have issues with hip flexors, them getting really tight on a ride late in the race. So when that happens, the hip flexors are in a shorter position, and that's not ideal. So yeah, when I'm doing that drill, I have to fight that urge. So yeah, first one wasn't near as good as it could be, so we'll try to make this one better. All right, 2 down. I was a little better about controlling the tail, I guess, on that one, so the number came out pretty good. The important thing with this drill is to be realistic as well. Like, we can sit here and have great numbers, but you can't see where you're going. So sure, maybe you might spend 2-3 seconds like this, but you gotta be able to see down the road. So that's what the position I'm trying to focus on dialing in is one where it's really aggressive, it's really aero, but I can still see where I'm going. All right, so we did two rounds of aero drills here, and We'll just go into the Darefore hub afterwards and see if we can learn anything else that we didn't see originally on the screen.
Okay, so we're gonna just talk through the ride that we did downstairs. Again, we did, it was an easy ride. We're trying to be as efficient as we can with our time. So I was doing some aero drills that I used to get from Matt Bottrell. So I did 3 by 4 minutes of a push-pull drill, and then 3 by 4 minutes of the turtle drill. And I could see average CDA on the Garmin, and I could see body angle in real time. But now we're gonna go into the hub and see if there's anything that we can gather in addition from the ride. So you can see, here we have the general overview. Again, you can look at the previous videos that I've done fully reviewing the sensor, and then the other video that I did fully reviewing the actual hub. So we don't need to do, talk about all those things. We'll just focus on what we can use to get from today's ride. But you can see power, heart rate, and then when we look at body angle here, you can see exactly where each one of the intervals were, or where they actually happened. It's a distinct difference, which is good. Obviously, I was sitting up on the recoveries. I was down in the TT during the intervals. So from the first screen, that's really all we can see, or we can take from that. Not anything hugely of note there. Again, when we go into the actual analytics tab here, we can, if we just focus on the time that we're in TT ideal, we can go through and you can see I talked a little bit about how there was a few blocks where I was struggling to hold the ideal position. My pelvis was turning, and so that was making it, I'm still in TT, but I'm in TT not ideal, which you can see here, and you can see when I was spending those times in there. So you can use that from the analytics tab. Again, there are short intervals and there wasn't any power variation. If it was a longer one, this would make a lot more sense. Again, you can see, again, distinctly where each one of the intervals occurred. When we go into the laps tab for aero drills, what we're doing with today's workout, this is where we're going to be able to see a lot more information. So again, it says, average, or the dominant position was comfortable for all of the off-load, or the laps that I wasn't riding in TT, and then thankfully, all of them, the dominant position, I was in TT position for all of the 3 by 4 minutes here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the second 3 by 4 minutes again. And then we can use this and just look at body angle. So as I talked about on the first one, on the push-pull drill, I struggled a little bit at the beginning. And if we look at it, you can see, okay, I was only 70% in TT ideal, and about 30% was TT not ideal. And so it took me a little bit to dial in, because as I was pushing and pulling, I was rotating the pelvis. That lifted the angle and made it of my back and made it not ideal. And so I was trying to improve that as I went on, and I was 88 and 11% for the round 2, and round 3 I was again about 87 and 13 if we TT ideal versus out anything outside of that. So I got better as the drills went on. Still not perfect, still plenty to work on there. And when we look at the turtle drills, again, it's the same thing. I struggled at certain aspects of that, and we're just talking 4-minute intervals here. So again, this just shows the value of doing the drills, but also having this additional data point that you wouldn't have if you're just doing the drills blind. So you can see I was about 86% the first one. Second one was 93.8% in ideal, and then the last one was again 93.4. So I got better as they went on there as well. If we go back to the analytics tab, and we focus in, you can see during the first interval here, I was struggling early on to just kind of dial in the position. That was on number 1 of the push-pull drill. And if we go to number 2, you can see again, if we zoom in here, you can see I started off, I dialed it in really well for the first 2 minutes, and then in the last minute, I was struggling to hold it a little bit, so there was some position decay. So again, that's another valuable insight. You can see we're just doing short intervals for a session like this, but as I bring this outside and I'm doing race pace intervals, longer intervals as I get into the race specific phase of training, we're gonna be able to see the decay over an hour interval or over a 30-minute interval, 45-minute interval. Obviously you can use this as an additional data point for just a simple hour session. Again, I could have spun for an hour, or I could try to break up that hour even though I kept power in the recovery zone, which was the purpose of the ride, and then find something beneficial to do on top of that, and just try to get a little bit more out of the same type of session that I normally would.